Thank you, Father, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Matthew Pineda. I am Community Engagement Manager with the Louisiana Parole Project. Each and every day, I have the honor and pleasure of working with men and women who were impacted by the criminal justice system in Louisiana. Many men and women who have served 20, 30, 40, even 50 years or more in the Department of Corrections. They have served their prison time, and they are trying to make the best of their second chance at life. And we have a reentry program in Baton Rouge that assists these men and women in making that transition from correctional facility to our communities. Some may be living in the communities near you, and some may be sitting in our community in this church service today. And so I am so happy to help these men and women because they are human beings and they are worthy of a second chance. I also coordinate a program called the Frederick Douglass Project, in which what it is a prison visit, and we go into 4 different institutions in Louisiana right now. And if you are interested in possibly getting involved in prison ministry, you might want to sign up for a Frederick Douglass Project prison visit. And what we do is we go into the prison, we tour the housing area and part of the grounds, and then we go into the chapel where we have dialogue with some of the men or women, depends on which facility you choose. And it just turns out to be casual conversation. And a lot of times, the participants that go into these prisons leave with an eye-opening experience. A change of perspective, a change of attitude towards these incarcerated individuals. Because they say, this man or this woman could have been my next door neighbor and didn't even know it. Because they don't look like prisoners. And my question is, what does a prisoner look like? What we see in the movies or on TV has been sensationalized. But the majority of the men and women on the inside are just normal people who made poor choices or a bad mistake and are paying the price and the consequences of their crimes. But a lot of them are coming out back into our society. And I work as a volunteer with the Catholic Ministries going into Dixon Correctional Institute, which is right around the corner in Jackson. And I love going back in because I think I'm going to go there and inspire them and encourage them and to live a better life and make better choices. But all the time I leave with my spiritual batteries recharged and refreshed. They make that much of an impact on my life. But another reason why I go back in prison ministry is because not only was I working for the Parole Project, but I was a client first. See, I was formerly incarcerated. I served 35 years for a crime that I committed as a 16-year-old juvenile. I was sentenced to life and thrown away for the rest of my life. They told me that I was never going to come home, that I was going to die in prison. Luckily, I was hard-headed as a kid, and I didn't believe them. And luckily and thankfully, I have praying parents who always sent me novena cards and prayer cards and prayed roses for me. And everything that they instilled in me as a child came back to me once I entered prison because mom and dad couldn't be there for me all the time. And I got involved in a lot of the Christian ministry programs, especially the Catholic ministry. Because I was confirmed, I started teaching RCIA, which is now OCIA, and catechism and the spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius of Loyola. And we started to build a strong community there at Dixon. And I started to see men have prayers answered. And they were being released from prison, going home. And I was so happy to see all my friends and all my brothers of years walk out of that prison. I just thank God for it. And then I prayed, I said, Lord, I'm so happy to see all these men go home. And I'm going to serve you whether I get my chance to go home or not. But it sure would be nice if my opportunity would come one day. And that opportunity came in the form of parole in June of 2020 where I was released. But that wasn't the biggest blessing in my life. Before I was released, he allowed me to meet my victims' daughters. One was 70 and one was 72, Miss Debbie and Miss Vicky. They lived in Missouri. And we didn't even know they existed until after I had served over 30 years. We reached out to them, and I was able to meet with them in the warden's office for an entire day. I cried most of the time because what do you say to two women that you killed their father? Words cannot describe the sorrow, the regret, the shame, the remorse that I had inside. But Miss Debbie, as I come to know her today, she embraced me, she gave me a hug, and she said, "You don't even have to talk about it, Matthew, because I forgive you. And I want you to be considered as an extended part of my family." And if that's not God's power, then I don't know what is. And I didn't deserve that kind of forgiveness or that grace. But I will never forget it. And now I correspond with them. I send them emails and texts. I talk to them on the phone for hours. Two beautiful women in my life. And I send them pictures of the big fish I catch and the fantastic golf shots that I make. And they're just so happy that I'm able to live life. But I go back into these prisons and I serve in prison ministry because of the impact that forgiveness made in my life and the impact that volunteers made in my life. They encouraged me while I was on the inside. There's also prison ministry that we're trying to get to go into DCI right now. We need some volunteers to go in. And I assure you that if you take that first step and sign up to go in as a volunteer, that you will never be the same again. It will move you like they moved me. And there's a Colby retreat that goes into Hunt right now, and there's about to be a new one that goes into Angola in August. It's like an Acts retreat or a Casilla retreat, if you're familiar with those. But they also need team members to serve on the team as volunteers. If you're interested with any of these, making a prison visit or going to prison ministry or signing up for a Colby retreat, we have some information in the back of the church after the service. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions, sign you up today, because I know there's a place for you. And I know that God is real because I'm a free man because of him and what he's done for me, and I'll never forget it. And although I am sorry for the things that I've done, I'm not ashamed of sharing my story with it because I know the blessing that God has given to me in this walk, and I will never be ashamed of expressing that to anyone. I'm so proud of my faith, and I thank God for this blessing to be here today and to have all of you to listen to this. Hopefully you'll sign up for prison ministry. I look forward to meeting you and working with you. Y'all have a great day. Thank you, Father.